Hello, everybody. I'm here with Travis Reed, the head of sales over at Outerbound. Travis, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic, Brian. How you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks so much for taking some time. Tell folks a little bit about Outerbounds and what you do over there.
Yeah, you bet. So Outerbounds is the commercial company associated with an open source project that's fairly well known in AI circles called Metaflow. What is Metaflow? Metaflow is the ML ops platform that was developed at Netflix and open sourced in 2019. And what that gang did at Netflix, they noticed was each team, the recommender system or all these other different ML projects, were sort of building their own stack and their own way to do the things they need to do to to train and experiment and produce models into production. And they said, stop the madness. We need to do something that is developmentally ergonomic, that is not attached to any cloud, and also helps us reduce the cost of those clouds. And that process became a nifty little Python API that lets data scientists instrument all the things like compute and data, as well as do all their experiment orchestration and pushing it into production. And we host a managed version of that, and that's Outerbounds.
Travis, you obviously have a super sharp technical team and lots of experience in the cloud, and you recently made the decision to move to the cloud marketplaces. What prompted that decision, and how are you thinking about that?
Yeah, that's I think the best way to answer that is to contrast it with a previous experience I had where we went into the marketplace by ourselves. And as a sales leader, you think this is great, right? I want to put my product in this huge marketplace at Amazon or at Azure or at GCP or something like that. And you immediately find that it's not that easy. And we had to get engineers involved to put this what you think is rather trivial. It's not trivial at all. You're in the land of PRs, and they finally get it in there, and then you realize, oh, I need to change something, or oh, I need a report run, and then another PR is generated, and now you're thinking, geez, I'm pulling an engineer off the line, and I need them to do the thing for the big customer that I have. Now, again, my context is I'm in early stage companies, and these get to be kind of existential questions. So this time around, when we were looking to avail ourselves of those marketplaces, it was kind of a no-brainer to go with Klazar. Just to give it a comparison, if I had to index that previous experience as like a 10, just to give it a number, doing like Klazar is like a 2. It's not a 0 because like I still have to find logos and I still have to like come up with a copy. I still have to do like things, but like those are all on our side. It's been really easy to go do it, and so now we can actually take advantage of those marketplaces.
And from a business standpoint, what prompted the decision? Why did you want to move to these cloud marketplaces? What are you seeing on the customer side, customer interest? Tell us a little bit about your thoughts there.
Yeah, when you're selling solutions like in the AI space and many other spaces, there's a lot of friction. This is not a commodity. This isn't just a click and go kind of a thing. So I'm always looking to reduce friction, as I'm sure all sales leaders are. And one of the things is that whole contracting process, the whole negotiation process. And when you use when you use their standard contract, that I'm not saying it always goes to 0. But you really, so far, we're well in 95+% of people, like we're just stepping right over the red lines. It's great because they've already bought many things before with that contract, and we did do an internal review of like their contract, our contract, and the gaps were easily acceptable, and so we were able to reduce a lot of friction. That's one. Number two, it just makes creating proposals dead easy. And it's in the paradigm that our buyers are familiar with. They are often DevOps people or AI scientists that use the cloud all the time, and this is just a completely familiar paradigm for them, and they like it. So between those two things, those are two, and the last one would also be just the entire way. You can pretty much put whatever creative business terms you want to do, and at our stage we do get pretty creative. We're into customer acquisition phase right now, and we often get creative to figure out ways to satisfy their cash flow needs or any sort of buying terms that they have, and that's been pretty easy to do. But then tracking all that becomes relatively easy in the dashboards and the analytics that come with Klazar in particular, instead of my old spreadsheet method, which I've done in days gone by.
Always love the spreadsheets.
Oh yeah.
Travis, I know you've spent a lot of time working with Michaela, our head of customer success, on both the technical side as well as the business strategy side. What's that experience been like? And tell us about that relationship.
Michaela's been great, and there certainly are docs. You have a very rich site to self-educate, but a lot of times I've just taken to going directly to Michaela in Slack and saying, "Hey, can you help me figure this thing out?" Or my CFO asked a question, where do I point them? And she's on the spot. The Chili Piper link, comes flying out pretty quickly if we just need to meet in person, or it's a quick huddle. And just 10 out of 10, service level help. In fact, I feel I'm a little high maintenance that I avail myself of her so often, but she says, nope, that's what I'm here to do. And it's been great.
And Travis, what signals would you suggest to other sales leaders? Because you've seen a lot of early stage companies, and what are the signals you think that they should look for as they make this decision to move into one of the cloud marketplaces?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm going to repeat a little bit of what I was saying earlier. I mean, if they're struggling with sales friction, and well, actually, maybe a bigger point that I would make that's not necessarily a signal, but something I would say to another head of sales looking into this is that the cloud marketplaces don't necessarily generate demand, but they are excellent at demand fulfillment. And in that process of demand fulfillment, you start to meet the sellers inside of AWS very naturally and organically in there where they live and breathe with their accounts and the partner teams and so forth. That all moves it out of academic programmatic, what feels often like a kabuki theater kind of a thing, into like real, where the rubber meets the road. We're selling together, and that's true of many partnerships. Like, you have to feed the beast for a while, and then all of a sudden it tips over and they start helping you. So it's a great way to do that, to post your opportunities and to work well with them, but it does take time. But the main things are, if you're looking to reduce friction and if you're looking to start the process of building a pretty big partner, this is a great way to go.
Right. And you're still relatively early on the journey. When you think about 2024 and beyond, what has you excited, and where do you think things are going with these cloud marketplaces and with Outerbounds?
Yeah, I mean, there's no question they're here to stay, and they're going to be a material force. It's in the paradigm that a lot of our buyers are with. There's so much crisp control around invoicing and billing and reporting on all that stuff. It just makes it really, really easy. So we're going to push. Our default move in the company from the CEO on down is to push as much as we can through this. We have not used a DocuSign or similar or equivalent product that's effectively a manual version of that. Since we really made this move, that really helped with adoption. That's really helped with the entire ethos of the company. And so we're looking to grow, to definitely 3x where we're going from this year to next year. And hopefully we're going to do 95+% of it through those clouds.
Wow. And as a last question, you mentioned CEO support and on down. One of the questions that people have, or one of the trade-offs going through these marketplaces, is that you do give up a percentage of revenue. They'll take a cut of the transaction. How have you thought about that trade-off, and how have you helped align people internally to say, yep, we're going to push 95% through the marketplace? Why does that make sense for Outerbounds?
Yeah, that hasn't really been a major issue, and it's a great point to make. But if you think of all the costs that it takes, especially when you're early and you're wearing multiple hats, every second that I'm doing administration, every second that I'm working on things that aren't really either generating a deal or closing a deal, are just like the cost approaches infinity in an existential kind of a way. So that cost calculation for us isn't really even a concern at this stage of the game. Like, we're out there in logo acquisition mode, customer acquisition mode, and we're finding this is just a tremendously easy and effective way of getting this component, the negotiation and contracting part of that thing, reduced from a hard cost and a soft cost perspective. So it hasn't really been a big issue to us.
Great. Travis, thank you so much for taking some time with me. Continued success for you and for Outerbounds, and looking forward to seeing what's next.
Awesome, Brian. Thanks for having me on. This was fun.